Hello, fiends, friends, and familiars. This is Matt Orozco from Macabre Daily, and I am joined today by Renee Huff, who is both the executive director and owner of the Haunted House Fearfest that's happening this week in New York City, Thursday, October 26th. Sorry, 24th to Saturday, October 26th at the Triad Theater in New York City. Renee, thank you for spending some time with me today.
Oh, amazing. No, thank you for having me. I'm so happy.
I'm glad we could make the time for this. I'm sure you can appreciate that the October, as much as it's an amazing month, it's also such a busy month for us horror heads. So how are
Yeah.
how are you keeping mentally so far now that we're past the midway point?
Well, I was just saying that before our call, like I overslept today, so I think my body needed it. You know, when you own a festival and you plan everything with the filmmakers and everything else, it is a big undertaking, but it's a lot. But I think my background in like entertainment and planning events and things like that really helped. So I'm able to be super organized and just, take it away. But I'm happy now because it got a little bit calmer because the show is like on Thursday. So, yeah.
Right. It's almost like the calm before the storm of a wedding, right? It's like that week before the actual day begins. It's just you hope kind of things are calm and smooth and that you can
Yeah.
address things as they come up. But I'm
Yeah.
curious to know, you're a seasoned media executive having worked at various different large organizations in the past. And you came into becoming the owner of the Haunted House Fear Fest a couple years ago. How did that start to come about?
To take you back, so I've been a fan of horror films ever since I was like little horror movies. And then I used to read Christopher Pike, R.L. Stein before all that. Are You Afraid of the Dark? And then it led to Wes Craven, People Under the Stairs. And I fell in love even more with horror ever since. And so I've always had that passion for it. But then working in entertainment, you have a corporate job. And so, like, you get promoted, you don't get promoted, door closes in your face or whatever. But I always had horror in the back of my hand. So when those doors would close, I would just watch other people and what they're doing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to learn and do that too. And so how the festival came about, the power of LinkedIn. It's always good to have connections, a lot of connections on LinkedIn. So I connected with a German filmmaker. He had a mutual connection with the previous owner. The festival was originally based in Europe. That previous owner wanted to sell it. And through that post, through that mutual connection, I saw it and I reached out and we negotiated a good price. And I owned the festival in the summer 2022. And I rebranded it, new logo, everything else, had more women horror filmmakers. I added video games to the mix as well. And it's going to be branching even further. So I really made it my own. And I just want to inspire people that you don't have to go the ABC way. Sometimes there's A, double A, B, and C. And so with that, I'm able to like still be in entertainment, connect with filmmakers, really broaden my reach even further with horror, and just really do what I love, which is really great. So that's how I came about it.
I love that. And, I could not agree more that I think sometimes it's just a matter of waiting for the right opportunity. I have a similar story how I came about becoming the
Yeah.
owner of Macabre Daily. So it is important that you make these connections. And again, it's great to see the fruits of those connections kind of deliver.
Yeah.
And you heard you mention a couple things that I think to me at least make this festival stand out. A focus on women filmmakers and underrepresented films, also a focus on video games, which have been, always been a massive part of my life, but now have become such a massive part of our economy.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm curious to know, kind of aside from those two elements, what else did you really strive to or did you strive to differentiate Haunted House Fear Fest with after you took over?
I would just say the quality of films that I picked. I've been to a lot of horror festivals like in the past and everything, other film festivals, and I see the same type of, don't get me wrong, same type of slashers, which is fine, same type of like, woman getting like killed, and that's it. And so when I look at a lot of the films that I see that either come through Film Freeway or really I do a lot of scouting on YouTube as well. And so with that, I really see, wow, this is something really different. I think after when you watch movies for so long, and I don't just watch horror, I love action films. So I have like an action type horror film opening night, Operation Blood Hunt, which is great. And so I want to merge all that together because I love the Jean-Claude Van Damme martial arts movies and Steven Seagal's and all that stuff. And even now, like spy movies. So if I can combine that love into horror with some of the films that I look at and screen, as well as the films that are more in the paranormal, horror, and slasher side, to have that mixture, I think that's what separates me from everyone else. And also my background. I mean, like, I'm an owner who knows about distribution, who's been in media entertainment. I know about streaming. I worked with streaming clients. So I get the business side of it, which is different from, I'm sure, a lot of owners or directors who might not have that background.
Yeah, and I can imagine that being such a huge help for independence, especially because when it comes to, like it's like the most difficult thing you can do is to make a piece of art, and then the next most difficult thing you do is find out how to sell it,
Yeah.
And so having that assistance kind of with someone like yourself who's not only been on that side of it, but also can help coach and advise, just
Yeah.
I think makes this a bit more of, something more to bring those indie, and especially love the mention of YouTube. I just spoke with a couple of filmmakers, Aaron Fradkin and Victoria Fratz, who just had their film picked up by Dread Presents, but they were huge on YouTube, right? And that, so I think there's so much happening in that space, and I'm so happy to hear that you're focusing on kind of those more homegrown efforts, but also a diversity of genre and experience
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
What can folks expect at the festival? I had come recently from Fantastic Fest, which,
Mhm.
was an overwhelming experience, but a heaps of fun.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to kind of tell others, folks that are maybe haven't been to one of these before, what's something they can expect with the Haunted House Fair Fest this week?
Yeah, well, I want everyone to enter my house, is what I like to say. And as soon as you walk through, I just like, what I'm living, given that I'm a small indie festival for now, it's growing, but you have to be creative. So when you enter my house through the box office, you'll be greeted by very scary, haunted music that you'll hear soundtracks from your previous films and everything. And then when you sit down, there'll be free popcorn, candy, and I really curated the films on like an emotional roller coaster ride. So opening night, I have Academy Award nominated animated director John R. Dilworth. He's presenting an animated horror short, followed by like scaring out of your wits, Mrs. Barker's chair, and then the list goes on, and then a horror comedy, intermission, trivia contest, and then after that, it leads into more horror, then Operation Blood Hunt. And then Friday, Mike Manello, producer of the Blair Witch Project. We're doing a screening of Curse of the Blair Witch, the mockumentary. And this year is the 25th anniversary of Blair Witch.
Yeah.
So I'm super happy to have him. He did a video game. And then Saturday night, it's paranormal night. And you just get a roller coaster ride of emotions with Haunt TV, their special screening, their special guest, as well as like the list of other films that I have coming out. And it's going to be a wild ride. That's what I want people to experience. Not I think, but eventually I want it will get bigger. I do want more entertainment. I listen to, so I am a geek in a way because I love Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings, extended version, all that other stuff. And so I listen to the soundtrack music all the time of those movies, as well as like Dracula Untold, Bram Stoker's, like while I'm working. And I want to have like an orchestra at the film festival at some point, even for video games and everything else, and really making it an entertainment experience. But that is like future goals, which I hope happen within 5 years. But right now, this is what you'll expect when you come this week.
I mean, that sounds fun as it is, right? Just the
Mhm.
fact that you're thinking of the popcorn, the candy,
Yeah.
creating an experience rather than just kind of going from screening to screening. Makes me wish I was in New York still. I used to live there for a
Oh,
couple of years, but unfortunately, I'm no longer there. So,
uh,
um, folks that are in the city on Thursday and up till Saturday, please check this out. And as we kind of last few questions for you, do you have anything particularly on the lineup? I know it's hard to pick favorites per se, but more anything you think you want to really steer folks towards that are attending this week, films that they should definitely check out, games they should definitely experience.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. So I will say so for games, because we're new, because I'm new and gaining notoriety, I have some games that are I'm gonna announce around the awards ceremony, and then we have Broken Spectre. But in terms of films, I mean, I'm really excited for that I was able to screen Mrs. Barker's Chair, which is opening night. I mean, that I saw and I was like, oh my God. And then I am excited for Aurora Rita Orsay. She's like a female filmmaker. Um, I would say definitely Haunt TV. So, given the presenting sponsor Haunt TV, I've been a fan of theirs before they became my sponsor. So the fact that they're working with me and then they're screening a show, like I watch, it's free. So I mean, I'm not just plugging it per se. I'm plugging it because like I've always been a fan. And so I watch all their Paranormal Survivor, all their like boogeyman, like the paranormal stuff, like hauntings, like I love it. So I'm excited to see, even though I already saw it, but I'm excited for people to watch their screening on Saturday night. And I will say on Saturday night, there's a movie called The Queue, where I will have to warn the audience, like if you feel faint, if you feel like, that just remind yourself while you're watching it, it's only the queue. So just keep on repeating that. So that's my excitement in a nutshell. So I hope none of the filmmakers come back to me after watching me like, Renee, how me to mention my film? I was like, I couldn't. Matt only had me for like 2 seconds.
It's true. You can
Yeah.
blame me. I will put
Yeah.
myself underneath those bus wheels, and
Yeah.
I put you on the spot. And again,
Mhm.
I encourage that there's no favorites here as much as getting people to get out of their comfort zone a little bit. I think that's the best thing about going to a festival, whether it's music or film, is just stumbling upon something you may not have seeked out otherwise and having a blast with it, challenging your own conceptions. And since we are in our spooky season, my last question for you is, aside from the festival, are there any seasonal watches that you always turn on this time of year? I know you mentioned People Under Stairs was kind of your gateway, but is there anything in the Halloween season that you always have on your lineup personally?
Yeah. So, I mean, this might be too cliche, but so I not the second part I'll answer, but like the first part is I love sci-fi's Halloween because like they bring back the movies. Like I watched The Descent and The Descent Part 2. Like I love like I was surprised I liked the sequel as much as I liked the first one. So every time when that plays, I'm always watching. And of course, AMC's Fear Fest I
Yeah.
watch, but I am excited to put on my list because when you have a horror festival, I've been watching films since last November. So, I've been really hard out per se, but I have Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2 on my list. I haven't seen that yet. I know it's been out for a while. I know I'm going to get slack for it. I just been busy. So that's on my list after the festival. And then Terrifier 3, I will go to the theater when it comes out. It takes a lot to scare me, and I love killer clowns. I was not afraid of it. I think clowns are great. I wanted to have a clown sitting in the audience when people come in, but budget, I have to think about that, but
Right.
hopefully one day I will. I just love killer clowns, so I'm excited to see it. So yeah.
Oh, well, you've got so much to enjoy then. You've got at least like 7 hours of Terrifier ahead of you. So that's a night right there. And I hear you. It's so interesting when people ask what you're watching in Halloween when you work in the industry, because it's like, well, I'm watching everything right now. And it's like I have to make time for the things that I'm choosing to watch, not so much the things that kind of come up. But nevertheless, I want to remind folks watching this, if you're in New York City or you're close to New York City, I know you New Jersey and Connecticut folks, you're not far away.
Mhm.
Um, Haunted House Fear Fest is going to be at the Triad Theater this week and weekend, starting on Thursday the 24th, going into the Saturday the 26th, sponsored by Haunt TV. So please make it a point to get out there. It sounds like a great time. I
Mhm.
wish we could be there, but Renee, I want to just say thank you so much for your time today. I want to say wishing you the best for this festival, but also for the continued ones coming up. And can't wait to hear how everyone liked it after all the dust has settled.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I will want to remind people that tickets are only $20, so you get to see all these films for
That's it.
$20. And I also have virtual screenings up. So like if you can't come to the venue, then there are virtual screenings. You can screen them right now on hauntedhousefearfest.com. They're not as much as you would see in person. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, so you can enjoy it wherever you are, but definitely come to the Triad Theater. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Renee, so much for the time today. And we'll be in touch again, I hope again very soon for next year's.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matt. Thank
My
you. All
pleasure.
right.